Hey, welcome to On Production, brought to you by Rapbook. Today, I'm diving into the fast-paced world of production finance with Nate Wakefield, who's a seasoned production finance executive with a rich background in both film production accounting and physical production. Nate is currently serving as the VP of Production Finance at ITV America, and Nate helps oversee a vast array of productions, managing budgets that cumulatively span over $400 million and deliver more than 500 hours of content annually. From his early days to navigating the complexities of union productions and coordinating international accounting teams, Nate's journey is a testament to the critical role finance plays in bringing our favorite reality TV shows and shows to life. So whether it's kind of establishing efficient workflows or facilitating tax credits or ensuring seamless delivery of projects, Nate's experience is super invaluable, and I'm very excited to be chatting with him today. Nate, thanks for jumping on.
Thanks for having me. Wow, that's quite the introduction. Hopefully I can live up to it.
Well, let's dig in on that. I mean, can you share with us how you got started in production finance? What sparked your interest in the field?
Yeah, honestly, it was kind of totally by chance. I went to UCLA. There's a production accounting firm that was based in Westwood that was, just looking for entry-level people when I was finishing college. And I decided to jump in there. I was a clerk for, about a year and worked my way up. And the way that their business was organized, they would be servicing a lot of smaller clients at once. So I was able to meet a lot of producers through that and just kind of branched off into freelance world, eventually becoming staff at a small production house in Burbank. Was there for about 10 years before recently joining ITV. So yeah, I've seen all levels of production from, studio, third party, clerk, assistant, payroll. I've done all the spectrum of, accounting jobs.
Before ITV, you just mentioned a little bit. Can you dig into that company? What was that experience like? I mean, I know your story a little bit, but you were really critical in actually building something of really tremendous value, both culturally and financially for all of you partners. Tell us about that experience.
Yeah, I mean, I think like anything in life, you don't really know what you don't know. And so, when I started with that company, I was just a production accountant, and learning my way up the finance ranks. And it was a small business, so it wasn't incredibly complex. Production services company is, all your money's coming in from the network. That's your total revenue. Your cost of sales is production and leftover is your profit. So we did that for about 10 years, kind of building a brand, building a following, interacting with great talent until, eventually it was acquired by private equity, which was a great and, really, I guess I could say, a great learning experience going through that whole acquisition. And then towards the end, I had the opportunity to join ITV and jumped on that and was able to transition from kind of a small comedy scripted production house to now basically a publicly held, huge production company where, some of the single projects we're working on are more than, the annual revenue of the previous companies. So, it's a different level of production that I'm on now, but it's fun. It's exciting. It's really fast paced. We're shooting in great locations like Fiji and Costa Rica and, doing huge productions in Connecticut and taking advantage of all these international and domestic tax incentives, things that in my previous job, it was more of a kind of a small comedy house. And so our stuff was usually shot locally, a lot of stand-up comedy. So it's just a different format that I'm doing now.
I mean, collaboration has got to be just absolutely crucial for the scale of the productions that you're working on now. Can you kind of describe your team structure and how you facilitate work between in-house staff and external crews, kind of including production accountants, talent, and any freelance LPs if they even exist in your workflows?
Yeah, right. I mean, they do. And, it's crazy. Some of these productions we're doing now will have 6 to 10 freelance LPs on them, whereas before I'm used to working with one line producer. So collaboration is extremely important, especially when you have crews all around the world. ITV has offices, in Denver, in New York, and Los Angeles and San Francisco. So right there, our core team is spread across the United States. But then when we bring in our productions, we have people international, Australia, the UK. So there's a lot of collaboration that has to happen both virtually and, in person too. We have offices. We're in office 3 days a week as well. So yeah, it's collaboration is huge.
That's fantastic. I'm curious, just off the cuff, like if you have seen through your career any particular workflows or tools that are very helpful in terms of effective communication and collaboration with the crews and the different production companies that you work with in your experience?
I mean, the specific tools we use, I think, are probably familiar to most people. Heavily use GChat, Google Meets, team meetings to really connect with the people that are not in local with you. There's also industry specific software that sometimes we'll use, whether that be, the accounting software package, where different levels of the production management team might have different accesses to input their points of data. That's probably one of the biggest hubs that all the teams, work in, is that accounting world. Historically, it would be, I guess, more classically paper kind of oriented, time cards going to accounting, purchase orders going to accounting. Even post COVID or during COVID, when everything became PDF and stuff like that, now we're trying to interact through softwares that are more all-encompassing, all-in-one softwares.
That's awesome. From your view, how does kind of unscripted production differ from scripted? Are there unique challenges in capturing real events as they unfold?
I mean, I think that is one of the challenges, is that it's real-time unscripted. So with a scripted show, there is known quantities. You're, going into the shoot with a script knowing exactly what the goals are. With unscripted, you have multiple storylines going on at one time. You're trying to balance, drama with reality, because we all know that even though it's unscripted, there's a level of guidance that happens to get, what we want out of the talent, and just the, I think, unpredictable nature of it, because yes, you may be kind of facilitating these environments. You don't know exactly how the situation is going to pan out. You don't know exactly where your camera needs to be to catch that shot. And so I think that creates just a different frenetic level of production when you're on set, and even leading up to it. I mean, if we're being honest about budgets and stuff, if you're not dealing with top level talent and you're not in primetime spots, you are getting less money, and that trickles down, so you won't get as much prep time, so you're already going into a shoot with less, cohesiveness with your teams, less, experience already. And so I think that is one of the problems with, or one of the challenges, I guess, with unscripted.
That makes a lot of sense. What's the pace like on set and offset for reality TV projects? And I'm really curious, like, how do timelines for delivering finished shows to the network to distribute operate?
I mean, look, it can be different with each production. Unscripted is usually really heavy in the edit. So, you may need 12 weeks per episode, just to get the episodes right, because you're taking so many pieces of footage and trying to create a cohesive story out of it. Well, I would say overall timelines are similar, because usually the production period is shorter and the prep period is shorter. So I would say from inception to delivery, a lot of these projects are 9 months to a year, only very, very small, maybe pilots and shorter than TV series episodes would be coming in around 6 months.
So you mentioned that, effective communication is critical in your role, especially now at ITV, just the scale of it. How does information flow between you, your team, and then other collaborators to beat production deadlines?
I mean, it's just constant contact, constant communications with your teams, continual feedback about status, deadlines, where we're at. I think it's important. I mean, especially going through COVID, everybody got used to working in silos, but it doesn't really benefit you in physical production. Like, you really need to be communicating, because one decision made by one team affects everybody, and so unilateral decision-making doesn't work. And sometimes it takes time to get buy-in from everybody, but once you do, it really makes the system work.
That's awesome. I'm curious what challenges you've faced really at any time in your career ensuring that efficient communication and collaboration across the projects is happening. Like, how do you address issues that just pop up, like inefficiencies, outdated systems, or just varied project complexities?
Obviously, I think we've done, not to beat the dead horse, but communication. But I think there's a style of communication that helps there. Like, you have to realize that other people are experts too, and that's why you hire them. And you have to give these people the respect and room to voice their opinions. And also, you need to be able to hear this and say yes or no, even override previous thoughts that you may have, previous preconceived notions. You have to be able to let things go if other people are coming in with better ideas. And that can be hard sometimes, especially when you invested emotional time, sweat, energy into certain processes, only to have somebody come in and say, wow, this is much better to do it this way. And so I think not holding on to things, and accepting that maybe you're not the smartest person in the room is really important in the collaborative effort.
Really helpful. Nate, in the context of production finance and accounting, are there tools, technologies, or workflows that you found particularly effective in kind of enhancing the collaboration and the efficiency to what you've been speaking about?
I can really only speak to production finance and production accounting specifically because that's the world that I work in. But previously in the accounting world, you would have multiple different systems to handle different, workflows in your workflow. So you would have a system to start paperwork to the people. You would have a different system to collect and process the time cards, another system to do the POs, another system to do the actual accounting. And the only way that they spoke to each other was exporting and importing CDS files, manual manipulation of data and reformatting, which I think has an element of error to it, And so there's a few programs out there now that are incorporating these things all in one that are really helpful and beneficial to us. But again, you have the same issues of getting buy-in from the entire teams, to implement these things, because you're taking tools away from them. Although maybe the most not efficient tool, really the all-in-one system serves the accounting team the most, So for them, they're just learning a new tool. And for you, you're getting a huge productivity boost out of it. And so that's kind of how I've always pitched these things to production management team, looking at, hey, I'm saving my second or my first, 1 or 2 days a week in data entry, because before they're having to take all this data from a separate program and manually enter it because it can't be formatted to this accounting software. If you can talk to people and make them realize the benefits, usually you can get buy-in, but it's still not easy.
Totally. Yeah, it's super, super fascinating. I mean, breaking the fourth wall a bit, personally, like I'm obviously, as a co-founder of one of these all-in-one systems, like very, very biased and excited about the future of these tools. For us, I think part of the reason why my questions around communication and collaboration exist is because I do think that for a long time, the purchasing of payroll solutions was driven primarily by the production accounting teams. And I think the worldview that we've tried to take on is like a more collaborative approach where the production teams are just as rewarded by the switch as the production accounting teams in terms of efficiency. But the tools, arguably, from my branch, were always oriented just at the production accounting organization and always extend down further into the production teams as well. And so we're like so obsessed about asking professionals like you about collaboration and connectedness, because we see a future where that can be much better. So that's awesome. I really appreciate your view on that. I'm curious, Nate, like reflecting on your kind of extensive experience across the industry, what aspects of working on reality TV projects do you find most rewarding? And what is consistently challenging?
I mean, I think consistently challenging is the unpredictable nature. You're always putting out fires, even if you have the most well-laid policies and procedures and the best guardrails in place, there's always going to be something. And I mean, this extends to, I think, scripted television too, but especially reality. There's just such a wild card with the human element, with the locations you're working in. It just seems like every single day of production, nothing goes as planned, which I guess was what makes it good TV. That type of energy comes through in the final product. It's always challenging, every project.
Can you share a favorite project of yours, one that you think presented significant challenges but turned out exceptionally well?
Look, I always point to the Eric Andre show as one of my greatest shows that I've worked on so far. One of the most challenging shows, but when you go out into the world and you've worked on that show, people love it. People recognize it. It's something that you definitely get some recognition for. I mean, obviously I'm in finance, so I have no buy-in on the creative or even what appears on screen, but you're still part of an overall product. And that one is always something I'm proud to share with people.
Awesome, Nate. Well, thank you so much for sharing a bit of your experience. It's so welcome, and I'm really thankful for you being on Production. Thanks, man.
All right, take it easy, Kim. Good to see you.